All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring a world of spirits, shapeshifters, and some truly incredible stories, all thanks to Brian Sankersing's amazing collection, Whispers Under the Silk Cotton Tree. The book kicks off with this bit of poetry, and it pulls you right in. It sounds like the start of a simple campfire story, right? But what Sankersing argues is that these tales are so much more than just spooky adventures. They're really the lifeblood of a culture. So, what makes these stories so vital? Let's dig into a really powerful idea from the book's prologue to figure that out. This quote, man, it just says it all. Sankar Singh makes it really clear that this wasn't history carved in stone or written down in some dusty official record. No, this was history that was carried on tongues, breathed into ears, passed along from late-night riverbanks to the rocking chairs in shadowy yards. It was a living, breathing thing. And you've got to remember, these stories didn't just pop up out of nowhere on the islands. They traveled across oceans. They literally survived on the backs of enslaved and indentured ancestors. That makes this folklore a direct line to a history that official records just ignored or even tried to erase. This is the history of the people, told by the people. But as you can imagine, this powerful tradition is now up against a very modern challenge. The author paints this vivid picture of a cultural battle, a real showdown. On one side, you've got the crackle of the fireside tale, that space for connection, for community storytelling. And on the other, the glow of screens, a flood of imported cartoons, social media, globalized everything. It's a huge shift from active communal storytelling to just passive, isolated consumption. And look, this is way more than just being sad about the good old days. Sankar Singh says it's an existential threat. Think about it. When a culture only consumes stories about other people in other places, it can start to feel like its own stories, its own struggles and triumphs are somehow secondary. It's a real crisis of cultural identity. So that brings us back to that core question. Why does this matter so much? Why fight to keep these stories alive? Well, the answer, as the author lays it out, is profound. It's all about survival. Okay, get this. For people who were displaced, enslaved, or indentured, storytelling was a weapon. It was a powerful tool of resistance. It became this kind of coded philosophy. A story about a greedy spirit hoarding all the fruit wasn't just some tale for kids. Oh no, it was a thinly veiled critique of the plantation owner. Imagination was a shield, a way to process trauma and hold on to your humanity. When everything else had been stripped away, these stories were the one thing you inherited. And the characters themselves, this is where it gets really cool, they embody this resistance. Figures like the Sukuyant, who could shed her skin and become a ball of fire, or Papa Boys, who is both man and animal, they completely defied the rigid boxes that colonial rule tried to put people in. In a system designed to control you from birth to death, these stories offered something radical, the power to transform, to slip away, to become something else entirely. That was a kind of psychological freedom that was impossible otherwise. All right, so let's actually meet some of these spirits. Let's see how all these big ideas get packed into some of the most famous characters from Trinidadian folklore. First up, you've probably heard of her, the infamous La Diablesse. She's always shown as this beautiful, mysterious woman who lures men deep into the forest, leading them to their doom. But, like with all these stories, there is so much more going on beneath the surface. So her beautiful appearance hides this monstrous secret, a cloven hoof. And that detail, that's not just for a scary reveal, It's a powerful symbol. It's a warning to look past the surface of things, and a lesson about the very real consequences of temptation and moral transgression. Okay, so from the deceiver, let's meet a completely different kind of spirit, Papa Bois, the father of the forest. He's this incredible hybrid figure, part man, part animal, a true guardian of the natural world. In an age of deforestation and climate crisis, that roar from Papa Boys, "You think this land is yours to burn?" I mean, wow. It feels more urgent than ever, doesn't it? The author basically asks us, couldn't we all learn a thing or two from Papa Boys about respecting the very environment that keeps us alive? So all of this, it's building to one final, really powerful argument for why these stories aren't just artifacts of the past, but an absolutely essential part of the future.
Keeping this folklore alive is an act of reclamation. It is a powerful declaration. It's like planting a flag and saying, our imaginations are not colonized. Our ancestors' wisdom is still profoundly valid. It's about protecting a cultural identity as fiercely as you would protect your own home.
And the author leaves us with this final question. And it's not just something to ponder, it's a call to action. It's a challenge, really. It reminds us that keeping these flames of culture burning isn't somebody else's job. It's a shared responsibility. Because at the end of the day, if a people don't tell their own tales, who will?